Hey there, Snicker Snacks. It's your old pal, Space Lord PJs, coming to you live in your ear holes here on Vorpal Tales. This is Adventurous Tall Tales, where we allocute about all things awesome and adventurous. I have with me two of my most favoritist people in the whole wide world, Duane
Hey.
and Patty.
Howdy.
Howdy to you two. How you doing, man? How's everybody's week? What's going on? What's up?
It's okay. I guess. A lot of schedule changes happening recently. I got my second shot.
Oh, fully
That's good.
vaccinated.
Yeah, I am fully vaccinated.
That's good. I mean, there is no
Ladies,
pandemic
I am fully
anymore. So,
vaccinated.
ladies, I am. Wow.
I am fully vaccinated.
Duane, is that really something you want to be throwing out there right now, considering what just happened?
You know what? Why not? I mean,
There is no pandemic beyond the wall.
I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I would love a warm hug from Duane. So I understand your pain. Cool. So, Patty, you're doing cool stuff now. You've always been doing cool stuff.
I'll just say, you best watch your mouth, sir.
Right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to insinuate otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So we should get to today's topic.
Which is?
yes, please share.
Yes, it is brought to us by our home office in Soda Springs, Idaho. It would seem peeps want us to talk about how to run modules.
How does one run a module?
That is a good question.
I get why they ask it, because there's a lot of modules out there.
Yeah, and running modules is kind of a interesting thing because some of the more recent modules are little sandboxy, so you got some room to go, but some of your older modules or just some modules in specific are designed with a certain sort of flow to happen, and players are players, and dealing with that flow is usually a little more difficult than usual. So
Definitely.
Yeah, well, you guys are DMs. What's your experience with running modules?
Well, Vorpal Tales did Dungeon the Mad Mage.
Yeah, yeah,
and
that's right.
it's called Dungeon. It's the first word. Dungeon on the Mad Mage.
Right.
And some people weren't prepared for a dungeon. So I guess to start this off is, even as something as smacking your players in the face, you gotta let them know it's a glove sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is definitely a problem. A problem with modules is that you want the role-playing experience to be very open and flowing, and you want everyone to participate and do what they want. You want them to develop their characters and use their characters the way that they want to. But really, in a module, you start at A, you're going to do B, C, D, and you need to end at E. And there's a very small leeway in what you need to do. So it is a lot of GMs and a lot of shows and talk shows. They always talk about don't try to railroad your players. You kind of have to when you're running a module, because you need them to get to. You're starting at A. I need you to get to B. Stop trying to go to B1, B2. I need you to just get to B.
Yeah, I remember when we did play Mad Mage. It's like, okay, the point is to get from you start at one end and then you're looking for the next pair of downs. You're looking for the escalator down, basically.
Yeah.
And there's a whole lot of just random stuff going on between those 2 points that I can see why players might get lost and go, oh yeah, this is what are we doing? What's the main goal? To find the stairs. Yeah, I can see where players could get lost because it's not like a normal dungeon where it's just traps and you're literally trying to get to a treasure at the end. Like, it's this whole it's a massive adventure where you have to get rid of these 4 lieutenants and get to the bottom and get rid of the dude at the bottom, but there's like whole cities and civilizations inside this. Was it like 15 level thing?
25.
Oh, okay, 25. There you go. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, about that.
But it like you said though, there's one dungeon level it's literally a forest, like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
the whole idea is it's like this dungeon is just one big wizard's trap / tower. So he's made it however the fuck he wants to look. So one level is just a big giant like Yanti swamp. Uh, like there's some really cool stuff in there. There's like a spelljammer ship in there. There's like
oh, holy crap.
there's like a mind flare colony. There's what else is down there? There's a whole bunch of just like awesome stuff down there. But yeah, you just kind of need to be like, hey, so don't forget, like, your goal is to go kill this guy named Hallister. There's going to be a lot of shit thrown at you between now and then, but just remember, you are here to go kill the man named Hallister.
Right.
And it's like Xanathar's goblin politics, and the Durgar are fighting the Drow, who are fighting Xanathar, who's fighting Hallister's forces, and you get involved in all these politics. Like 2 levels down, you're like, wait, I have to go through 23 more levels to kill this guy I don't even care about anymore because Glip Glop the Goblin's now my best friend, and he's embroiled.
Yes,
he's part of House Gank, and House Gronk is fighting against House Gank, and House Gank must win and take control of the second level of, oh wait, Hallister's done shit. We gotta go kill that guy.
Like I've played Sunless Citadel at least twice within the past few years, and that first level, spoiler alert, there's a power struggle between goblins and
kobolds, isn't it?
Yeah, and like you just get lost in this weird, and then there's this one offshoot that just leads to a random mummy that has nothing to do with the rest of the dungeon. But yeah, this entire first level is this goblin thing, this goblin and kobold struggle, and like there's a random loose dragon that's like the dog of the group, and just there's so much going on in some of these modules that, oh well, these are now my best buddies, I just kind of want to hang out with them on level 1. It's like, well,
right?
No, there's
what's Hallister doing? He's just chilling down there. I don't care about him. Let him chill.
Right.
This place is pretty dope.
He's not really doing anybody any real harm unless they come in the dungeon. So, just
don't. He's just like every other person who owns a house. Don't come to my house uninvited.
Right. Like, he has a right to protect his home, and
he's Florida man. I will stand my ground.
Alistair's Florida man. Holy shit. That puts that module in a whole new light now.
Right? He likes to experiment, combine weird things. He's like super into niche, like weird things that freak out most people, but ultimately not really doing too much harm. And then he stands his ground. He's Florida man.
Hanging out with Glip Glop reminds me of which apparently is the worst thing you can say to a certain alien language in the cosmos. But yeah, Glip Glop. When we played Avernus, there is this floating gold mini elephant that the entire story is just sort of hinged on you making best friends with this golden elephant, this cute little golden elephant, and where most people probably do sort of like tag onto that thing, like, oh yeah, cute elephant, whatever, great, come on, you're our best friends, whatever. Our group, when we played it, so you go to the evil woman's house in the first part of the module, and there is this random comment, and it has a token, it has stats, everything. It's the cat with wings, and it's called Slobber Chops. And our group was just like, hell yeah, the cat with wings named Slobber Chops. That's our new fucking mascot. What are you talking about? And then we get to the flying golden elephant, little pink mini elephant, and everybody's like, yeah, that's dumb. No, we're gonna hang out with Slobber Chops is our dude. Like, he knows.
Yes. Sorry, we're all full up on weird pets.
Right. Like, I don't know. What? Oh, it came to hell with us? Sure, I guess, maybe. Okay, weird elephant thing. Yeah, but
sorry, no room at the end, Virgin Mary.
Right. just know that this cat's doper than you are. And then I ended up having to
merge them together.
I had to merge them together where Slobberchops is the main personality, and everyone's like, oh, okay, that's pretty dope too. Yeah, all right, Slobberchops. Just like, okay, cool. It modules, you can read a module back to front and have it memorized and know what's going to happen, but players are weird sometimes, and the module isn't prepared for that most times, because like the first time I played Sunless Citadel, nobody actually wanted to attack either the goblins or the kobolds, and the module kind of wants you to. And so it's just like, okay, well, now you have a new friend who, it's like the first guy that they met. Like my first group was just like, oh, well, he's our buddy now. Like he's our guide through the thing. And yeah. And it was funny because the first
he's our
group
Sherpa.
died. Yeah, he's our Sherpa. But the first group died. So the second group had to come through because they had to make brand new characters and everything. And it's just like, oh, yeah. So we're just going to jump to this part because the first part's been cleared like 3 months ago by your party and nothing's really changed. And like, oh yeah, okay, here's your Sherpa guy still there. You can hang out with him if you want. He has no idea who you are, but he talks all the time about these other people that just died miserably.
I would say modules I still get, I'm one of those people. I get every module that comes out because I just love reading them because they usually have some funny bits in there and just some really cool nods at some stuff, and
they're good for ideas.
They're good for ideas. But as far as like actually running a module, I'd say they're best for 2 groups. One being the new DM who's like, oh, I don't know if I can build a whole world. That's not, I can't do that. Not yet, at least. Let me use this module, learn the world, and then that'll help with your improv, because it's like, okay, I don't have to improv this NPC's name and their backstory and who they love and their boyfriend's ex-lover's child that is theirs now, and the secret magical item that turns them into a cat every other week. Like, it has, like, most NPCs and modules just have this ridiculous amount of backstory to them, so you don't have to make up anything on the fly as far as that goes. You just have to roll with whatever punches your players throw at you, which is like the most important thing to learn to improv. So I'd say it's good for that. The DM who needs to learn how to, roll punches and start getting to practice, improving. And then the other would be for players who don't like, that you constantly are like having to push. Like the players that are just like, well, I don't know, like what's there. Vorpal Tales doesn't really have that problem. There's at least one person in every one of our games. It's like, well, I just run off into the field of sunflowers, and I go touch the sword that has 3 skeleton hands grabbing it. Like, you don't ever have to push our players usually, because they go do the dumb thing that kicks off the adventure by themselves, like, naturally. But there are some, like, there's sometimes will be groups of people, especially a bunch of like first time players, that are just like, I walk into town. What's in the town? There's blacksmith. Okay, is he like making swords? Like, it's like you constantly have to keep like feeding them information. Like, okay, it's like, here's the MacGuffin that you got to get. Oh, is it though? Like, I don't.
Strange man really walks out of an alleyway and pushes you towards the blacksmith.
Yeah, so the like natural railroading that modules lend themselves to be is really useful for those kinds of groups, because it's just like, okay, so then NPC name whatever walks up to you and he's from this guild and he gives you all the crucial story information. He's like, let me take you there if necessary. Like, you can very much just like, without them asking for the push, give them several million pushes.
Yeah, that's always the thing with modules, is like getting them. And I know when I make a character, I always try to make a straight man, because everybody else wants to play a gimmick character. So it's just like, I know at least I can go, hey, everybody that's being crazy and like wanting to start bar fights, this thing's over here. Maybe we should talk to this dude. And everybody's like, I punch him. It's like, oh, well, I guess that's a start. So we'll get there. uh yeah. It is interesting what your players will latch onto in descriptions. I was playing a game with Mike and Steve, and it was just the three of us because we were bored one day. And it was an old 3.5 module, and you get to this room, and this room basically is the description of a storehouse, but it makes this one random. And Mike and Steve will tell the story differently, but their version is wrong. So just everybody out there.
Okay.
The description makes a weird random comment about what looks like an old elevator pulley system in the corner. And instead of the one thing that the room really specifies on, these two guys went and was like, what's up with that elevator? I'm like, it's kind of broken. It sort of works. It's like it looks like a dumbwaiter sort of thing. I don't know. It's a random elevator. Don't worry about that. No, where's that elevator go to? Down. It goes down. Can we ride the elevator? Will it hold us? Sure. All right, we go down the elevator. And then it does specifically say like the elevator goes down to the Underdark.
Oh,
Like apparently if you read the
Okay.
whole module, this is like there was a drow or something were involved, and then they were using that to ship supplies from the Underdark. So if you take this elevator, the only thing I could think of at the time was like, well, you take it down and you're in the middle of a drow camp and they enslave you and your character's gone for we're done. Like
Have a nice day.
You focused on the random
Damn.
elevator. I don't know what to do now.
That's when you go, all right, hold on a minute, and you grab out your Out of the Abyss book.
Right.
We're
And
now
we start
running
as you're
module.
enslaved.
We had already been playing for like 6 hours. And it's just like, I'm done. Your characters are dead. I'm sorry. Like, it's just, yeah, modules, man.
I will
Duane.
say that, we did say it, that, a lot of modules kind of force you to railroad your characters. Some of them are very open, like Storm King's Thunder was
Or
very sandboxy.
more recently, Icewind Dale.
Yes, very sandboxy. So you do have an objective, but that objective may not go in a straight line or even a diagonal or crooked line.
It's
like a
squiggly.
It's like you're taking a spirograph through Faerun. but it has it built to where it's like, this is a side quest. You don't have to do it now, but if they need to level up because they really, really, really want to go here, don't let them unless they're this level. So suggest that in order for them to get here, they must travel through this area. And in this area, you will be attacked by monsters and then level up. And then once you get there, you're able to, be at the specified level or close to.
Yeah, I think Wizards has kind of realized that the days of the module that tells the DM exactly what to do, how to do it, and this very narrow kind of thing are very much up and over. So I'd say the last couple adventures have been more towards either a sandbox style or a cut and paste style. So what I mean by that is Dungeon of the Mad Mage, while we try to run it as a pure campaign of going through the entire dungeon, the best tool that is man, okay, I didn't really prepare this week for my session. Okay, I'm gonna cut this level of the Mad Mage dungeon. Boom. Okay, yep, you guys stumble along, there's a pitfall in the road, you fall through, you're in this dungeon now, and you just run a floor of Mad Mage.
Yeah.
Or they haven't quite done enough to level up yet, but if they try to go do the next thing in the main story, they're gonna die. Dungeon from the Mad Mage. Here you go.
Nice.
So Mad Mage is a good example. Princes of the Apocalypse is another great example.
I've known many people that tried to run that the way it was intended, and
No,
was
so do not do that, because that counts on your group. Very specifically, like going to different elements at the right time. But everyone has a favorite element from any show you've watched. That's Avatar to whatever, where everyone's like, well, I'd be a fire element. Personally, Earth is of course the best element. I'll fight you on the moon about that. But
see you on the moon.
Okay, where I've got plenty of Earth. Where's your air now? Where's your fire now? Where's your water now?
Yeah, this is unfair.
Fight you on the moon, you lost. But Prince of the Apocalypse, I was running my big campaign I was doing before the pandemic hit. It was very much like about the elements and repairing the Earth, and there's gonna be a lot of like planar travel. And tying up with that, I straight up stole the earth, fire, water, and air, like big temple pieces from Prince of the Apocalypse, because those are just so well made, and they have like the theming and everything is about that one element.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's super like Earth. Like the first one I went to was like the Earth Temple, and it's just like super Earth, and like all the enemies are like Earth flavored, and the Earth bad guys are there. I even had them fight Ogremok. Like it was great. Like it's fantastic. It gives great visual depictions. It gives like the fighting stage for fighting where Ogremok is like this great voluminous cavern with all these like crystals and gems, and it's just like really helps kind of help you visualize what you would want from an Earth temple or whatever. So and then like Ghost of Saltmarsh, that's another one that came out recently where it's big sandboxy, and the big takeaway from that is they give you a bunch of stuff on ships. Like you want to run a pirate campaign, here's all the information you need to know about ships, sailing, ship combat, how fast is a ship versus a Kraken versus a rowboat versus like whatever, like it's all there.
Dead Man's Rest is kind of like that too, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
Sort of. So Dead Man's Rest has, it is a story. There's an overarching, not to spoil too much, because I think the Kickstarter has not been fulfilled yet. But basically, there is this thing happening that is affecting Hollow Legionnaires. But the coolest part about Dead Man's Rest is not so much the story, and this is my opinion. The story, of course, is pretty cool. But it finally gives detail and more lore information about some places in Gelspad that had been lacking, specifically the Hornsaw Forest.
Cool.
Yeah, I will say that. Oh, actually, I don't want to go over Patty, but I will say that modules themselves tend to definitely add more on lore that may have just been lacking a little bit, or it's that one region where I'm like, okay, I know that these monsters come from here, but why? And then there'll be that one module where it's like, oh, well, this is why. And you're like, I've been wondering why this was for years.
Like,
Thank you.
Modules have now become, in my opinion, like your research. So like you want to run an Underdark campaign, read Out of the Abyss. Steal what you want from it, but it's going to tell you all about the Underdark. It's going to tell you about Drow culture. It's going to tell you about Duergar culture. It's going to tell you how all those people interact. It's going to tell you the politics of the Underdark. It's going to give you some cool Drow city names. It's going to give you all that information, and now you can steal all of that and incorporate it into your campaign when you're running in the Underdark. What's also good is a lot of these, before D&D Beyond came out, which had, is their kind of sole source of truth now, if you wanted to fight a demon prince, you needed Out of the Abyss, because Out of the Abyss has all the stats for the demon princes.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to fight an elemental lord, you needed Prince of the Apocalypse, because it has all the stats for all the print. Like before Wizards was like, okay, no, don't worry, we'll make a place where you don't need to buy the specific book. You had to buy a specific book.
If you wanted specialized enemies, that you needed that specialized book.
A lot of these books also had like hidden Easter eggs, like the player's elemental evil companion guide. That's in Princes of the Apocalypse. That came from Prince of the Apocalypse. Like being able to play an Aarakocra came from that book.
Oh, nice. Didn't know
there's a ton of people. There's a ton of people that didn't even know Aarakocra was a playable race because they just didn't have Princes of the Apocalypse.
Huh. Interesting.
So it's just like, one friend would tell another like, oh yeah, I played this cool bird person. Like, what? How? Oh yeah, my GM's running Prince of the Apocalypse. Well, the fuck?
That's cool. Yeah, like I think modules, like we said, are a very good source of material. Once you run one or two of the smaller ones and you sort of get your footing in being a GM, you can then start picking and pulling things from different modules and just putting them together in ways that you want and sort of build your own world out of them. Because it's a lot of times you don't want to take modules at their word, because whether not play tested correctly or not thought out well, like you kind of have to just, you as the GM, have a little of groundwork to do. I remember we were playing a long time ago. I was playing with some friends, and we were level 1 characters starting out as level 1, doing a level 1 dungeon that's literally just get down this cliff, go into a couple of rooms, and that's it. But the first, and this is in 3.5, so the first thing was a DC 5 check to see if you could get down some stairs. And this is where the joke of do the stairs look treacherous comes from. So it was me, Mike, and a few other friends. And so like Mike goes first and rolls a 1, falls. But the book says, oh, if you don't make it, you take like 3d6 or something ridiculous damage.
Jesus, at first level?
At first level. So it's like, okay,
I hope you're not a wizard. You're dead.
Surprise, you're dead.
Fun fact, Mike was playing a wizard. He's dead.
Yeah,
so
dead.
I'm playing that something had just come out where you could play like a Hound Archon at level 1. So I failed a DC 5 check, and so I fall and break my neck and I'm dead. Literally all but 2 of the players, maybe one of the players, failed this check and we all fucking died. So if you took the module at its word, yeah, DC 5 is not hard, but sometimes the dice are just not in your favor.
But 3d6 is.
And 3d6 is, and it's just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Modules, everyone.
I guess the thing that people can take away from, because we're supposed to be talking about like how do you run a module.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the things that I would say, and I am guilty of not doing it myself, but for anyone who is not familiar with the setting at all, definitely read the entire module all the way through before you start playing.
Or at least the full, for like most are written in chapters now. So make sure you get through at least, and like that chapter doesn't necessarily carry over anything to the next chapter sometimes. So at least get those chapters read so that you know what's going on. Yeah.
I was recently running, and everybody knows here, a Call of Cthulhu game. And there was one thing, this didn't have any chapters, it was just one whole module, but there was one piece of information that it was as an index or like a separate,
like a footnote,
like a footnote. So it wasn't anywhere near where you needed it to be. So I didn't know it was there. And then as we got further along in the adventure, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was like, oh, wait, what is this? Oh, shit, they should have known that. How do I do that? So definitely read whatever you're going to be running, read it in its entirety. Like Shawn said, like if you know that you're going to be running, like we've run Strange Aeons, I will read the entire first chapter of Strange Aeons, whether that be finding out the secrets of whatever. Okay, I'm going to read that entire thing, even though I know it's going to take them 4 or 5 sessions to do. Still going to read the whole thing so that I have all of the lore in my head. I have all the locations, at least have an idea of where they're at, when they may be available, or when they may be going.
I think it helps to. Sorry, go ahead, Duane.
No, I was going to say, because like we said before, like lore is very important. I think lore is very important in modules, because especially if you're making a game on your own, you may have some lore that you've borrowed, especially with D&D. A lot of people want to make those history checks and those religion checks.
Mhm.
And when you homebrew something, it's like, oh well, I forgot to add like that extra flair of, what if, yeah, I mean, let them roll their religion, like, I didn't really, but the modules really do. If you read the introduction to the campaign or the campaign backstory, it will give you what you need, even if it doesn't say anything about, yes, they can make a check or they can't. There is just enough there for you to be like, yes, you know this because I know it.
Yeah, I think it helps when you read the module, treat it like a choose your own adventure thing, like have a character in your head and sort of go through each room and think about what you would do in that room and how that would play out, and just see the story that they're trying to tell, like figure out the mysteries that they're trying to lay down and try to link that up in your head with a character in your minds, that when your actual players are doing it, to you'll if you do it yourself, you'll remember where you got tripped up, and they're probably going to get tripped up in the same location. I know some of the modules we've run in the past, on this show, everybody was just kind of lost in some of the mysteries that were being thrown out, and it's like, okay, let's let's get a synopsis going, like you did this was thrown out at you, and like this, and it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, just kind of keeping track of, like, play the module yourself first, basically.
Yeah.
I would also say that, although you may not know all of the monsters, given how big the module is itself, a module is an excellent time for you to scrub up and truly understand how enemy tactics work. Because especially in a dungeon type module, it's gonna be like, it'll give you the room number, and it'll say, the room description. This room is made of stone and is covered in moss. Enemies inside there are 3 kobolds, but it doesn't say where they are. It doesn't say, if you're in a 50 by 50 foot room, it's like, and you have 3 kobolds, it's like, all right, are they all standing in the middle? Are they all standing next to the door? Or is there one in each corner? It's a good time for you as the GM to go in and say, where should they be?
Yeah,
and,
think of them like,
start using those tactics.
yeah, think of them like living spaces. Think about, if there's a fire pit and there's 4 kobolds in the room, like 3 of them are probably around the fire and one's doing something, or maybe
One's
there's
taking a
another sentry.
piss.
Yeah, they're just think about what might actually be going on in there. Have a lot of times in modules, it'll say, like, if a certain trigger happens, the monsters will choose to retreat and will do everything to get out of the room, sort of thing. Like, those are things that you can do. Those are things that you can follow, and then that enemy may make it to another room and alert them, and then there's a whole like sound sequence, and just if an enemy gets away, what happens. Like, there's a whole lot that can go on that can make dungeons really interesting.
Didn't somebody write a book about like monsters or people too, or something like that, that like dive really deep into like the psyche of different D&D monsters? Like, this is what they would actually do.
Yeah,
I could have sworn somebody did that. It was like,
I mean, it sounds like you're writing Grendel, basically, where the story of Beowulf is told by Grendel. But yeah, I know that would actually be, if it doesn't exist, it probably does, but that would be an awesome book to read, because then you can, what day in a life of a kobold, day in a life of a goblin, day in a life of a beholder, like what happens, what goes on, that helps you make the module come alive, which is really good.
For a couple of those monsters, you can use Volos for 5e. Does a great job on some of those monsters. I believe it does beholders, mind flayers, orcs, a couple others. It does that kind of like, this is what like orc society is like. This is how they would arrange a war camp. Like, if you were to find them in a dungeon, this is the layout they would probably do if they had time to prepare. Like, it does like a really good job of trying to think like an orc.
Yeah, and I know we talk a lot about D&D, but I think they're a very D&D is a very basic concept game that I think is probably, it as much math as and everything that's going on. I think it is a very modular system, the very like, it's a very complex sort of living system that I think anything you do in D&D can easily be applied elsewhere. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
At the same time, because we're not D&D exclusive.
Yeah.
We do a lot of games on our show. There are just some games that just don't have modules.
Yeah, like
True.
this is true. And I like certain games like there's Mecha Hack, which is basically a version of Mecha games based on Black Hack, but their second book that they put out is nothing but like randomized missions. So you roll on tables of like what the objective is, who the boss is, like complications that can occur in the game or in that mission. Like those are cool things that I think those are other sort of modular type things that there, because it is random tables and stuff, it can be different every time you play it. And I think those are some cool things too for modules. Yeah, so I think we've said our piece about running modules.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I think that's and like Patty said, more directly, I'll say it again. The module is a guideline.
Yes. Read your module, read it all the way through if you're going to do it. Like if you're not, they are great sources of lore. They are great sources of monsters and situations to drop into your game. And yeah, just they can be really good tools, even for more experienced DMs to utilize. So
Yeah, Patty the Pirate says, the modules be more like guidelines.
And I think that's where we'll end it. What did I hit the Patty the Pirate button? Like what just happened there? Wow. Cool. As always, you can find us on the social medias at Vorpal Tales. Check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Vorpal Tales. See our calendar that pops on our show reels and on our website at vorpaltales.com and on our Twitch channel. Also, check out the pull list on our website. Friend of the show at Funky Thunder does his weekly review in no particular order of this week's latest comic releases. Also, be sure to check out the shop links on our website. Vorpal Tales has created several great supplements to enhance your games. There's more in the works for all the games that we've played to make your tabletop experience more Vorpally. We also have a merch store now. Patty, what's a random item you can find in a merch store with our logo slapped on it?
I know you can't see it we're in a Zoom call, we're on camera, and so I know you, the listener, can't see it. But you can get one of these, which is this canvas pencil pouch bag.
Oh, nice. That looks nice.
It's very nice. It's almost, I say canvas. It's like canvas. No, it's hemp. I lied. It's hemp. There's a little tag on here that says hemp. You can get a hemp pencil bag. I use it for, I just used it recently for a little staycation my wife and I went on to put all my, I'm a big EDC everyday carry kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So I put like my knife, my wallet, my handkerchief, like all the things I usually keep in all my pockets. I put it in here to pack because I was wearing my bathing suit over because we're going to a pool. And then, it's nice and safe in my hemp pencil pouch bag.
I dig it. That's cool. All right. Well, thanks guys for being here. Thanks listeners for listening. And for the love of the dice, game on.